Good morning and welcome to the Sports Carnival, broadcasting live from the Trauma Center studios. Now for the guy who's definitely blacker than Bryant Gumbel. Here's your host, Dave.
Man, I don't know if Bryant Gumbel would agree with me on that because while it may be true and you know me differently, I don't know if he would appreciate that particular term, but we'll see.
Not quite Greg, but definitely,
that's true.
Definitely Bryant.
Well, let's see if we can get Bryant Gumbel on the Sports Carnival. What do you say?
Sure.
If he comes on the show, then we'll have this conversation again in earnest. How you guys doing? Dave and Chad broadcasting live from the Trauma Center studios, coast to coast. Thomas from UWL is up and at it this morning. Thomas, Eagles basketball tonight versus Whitewater. This is going to be a big one. I'll be in attendance. Just letting you know. Going to see our good buddy, Coach Kent Dernbach, and going with a friend of mine, Ethan Geezy, who is a member, Chad, of the UWL softball coaching staff. So we'll be having a good time watching these Eagles try to soar against Whitewater, a really tough opponent. We got a lot to run down this morning, including more. And this is the greatest thing for a program like this. And I know that some Packer fans like Jeff Schneider and a few others, Kyle Morningwood, might not exactly love to hear what we're going to have to say this morning. But this is what we're gifted with. Aaron Charles Rodgers going on Pat McAfee and Silent J's show and giving us more word salad. What does Aaron mean when he says what he says? Nobody knows exactly what Aaron says except for Aaron Rodgers. But yesterday gifted programs like ours and programs all across the state of Wisconsin and truly around the country, because this is the lead story, Chad, of every NFL show. Aaron Charles Rodgers just throwing up a bunch of word salad. So we'll be getting into that coming up this morning on the program. Again, broadcasting live from the Trauma Center studios, powered by the Recovery Room. Chad, our buddy Mike Schmidt, Northern State Wolves head coach, going to be making another appearance here on the program. And we're pretty much penciling in Mike for every Wednesday at about 8:30, which is exceptional news for us. Everybody loves Mike, and we just love his takes. So we've got that. We've also got a poll question, which is hanging out there, Chad, on our Twitter feed at the Sports Carney and our Facebook group page. Here's the poll question. Are you ready for this?
Yes.
Okay. If the Packers do trade Aaron Rodgers, which is now becoming more and more of a, I wouldn't say likelihood, but a point of conjecture. If, in fact, the Packers do trade Aaron Charles Rodgers, which of the top teams, as far as the odds are concerned, Chad, do you think would be his best fit? Now, here's the way that they go in order. According to Sports Track, I found this 20 hours ago, so this is as recent as we can get it. The Jets are right now even money. The Titans are plus 300. The Patriots are plus 700. And drunk Jim Irsay and the Indianapolis Colts are sitting there at plus 900. The Raiders are in the mix at plus 1,200, depending on which shop you're looking at. Again, betus.com is the official book of the program. But when I found these odds, I thought this is probably representative of about what all the other shops are going to be looking at. Jets even money, Titans plus 300, Patriots plus 700, Colts plus 900. What say you, my friend? If you were given the choice of those four teams, which do you think would be the best fit for Aaron Rodgers?
Well, I think the most fitting would be the Jets, because he finished his career in Lambeau, if he leaves, the exact same way Brett Favre did. Why not kind of follow Favre in Favre's footsteps and go to the Jets at some point in your career? Right?
That would make it an exact same narrative for Rodgers and for Brett Favre,
which was so we know weird. It's scripted, so it's that makes a lot of sense. But because he's going on Tank Top and Hawks morning show all the time.
Ooh, I like that.
I also kind of lean towards the Colts a little bit. Because maybe they've had a conversation about, off air. What is Jim Irsay really like? How is he to play for? What do you think about Saturday possibly becoming the coach? Blah, 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 blah. Those kinds of conversations could be happening that we don't know about. I'm not saying they are. Who knows? So that makes sense to me as well. What were the other Titans? And then who was the other one?
We have the Titans. They're plus 300. Patriots. Plus 700.
Patriots, obviously, we talked about this earlier. Patriots is very interesting just to see that combination of Bill Belichick and Aaron Rodgers and how their personalities would match or fit. And then if Aaron Rodgers would fall in line, that actually might work really well for him as far as his career and possibly winning moving forward, matching up with a great coach. So that's interesting to me as well. But right now I'm going to stick with the Jets because I just find that the most interesting, just because he's tried so hard not to be Brett Favre, and he's doing exactly what Brett Favre did. That's what I find the most interesting out of all of this is how long he's tried and how hard he's tried not to be Brett Favre. And guess what he's doing?
Yeah. Listen, I think that
Hilarious.
the narrative that you have been, Mike, top of the morning, big guy. I think the narrative that you have been spinning over the last, let's say, month or two of the program here has been about the NFL, largely the NFL, and you could say sports in general, because I think that you're on that particular page of sports in general, at least major professional sports being scripted, and if not scripted specifically to the letter, given a set of circumstantial opportunities in which dominoes can fall in the correct direction based upon the way that the stage is set up. Okay, fine. That would mean the Jets would be the quintessential, most perfect landing spot. Now, much like the Jets did when they got Brett Favre, I think they would do with Aaron Rodgers. So I was listening to a number of different talking heads over the past couple of days about this Jets team. You know, Robert Saleh's an up-and-coming coach, defensive-minded. Great. They just canned Matt LaFleur's brother, Mike LaFleur, as the offensive coordinator.
Yeah,
who they would bring in largely could be determined by Aaron Rodgers, right? You could see Aaron saying, hey, I want Nathaniel Hackett back, or whatever the case may be. Then you get to look at the Jets roster, and there's a top 5 defense there. That's a Super Bowl caliber defense that the Jets have. Most all of their best players, the Jets, are on rookie contracts, which means the Jets are one of the few, not the only, but one of the few teams that could absorb Rodgers' extremely exorbitant contract and actually be able to eat that, move forward, and continue to pay some players to put around him. The Jets have an up-and-coming skill position set with their wide receivers, decent running back, and offensive line that's continuing to develop. The football aspects of this look really good. Also, Robert Saleh is a younger coach, which means Aaron Rodgers can exert his willpower. The one team on this list that I will say absolutely,
I don't think he can do it with him, though. It's a little different kind of – he has a different kind of character. That's a different kind of guy. I don't think you're going to get away with it. You're not going to be able to push him around like he is Matt LaFleur, in my opinion.
Probably not. But again, Robert Saleh would be in a position to have to basically cuddle Aaron Rodgers and his enormous ego in order to make that facilitated work. This is why the Patriots plus 700, guys and gals, I do not think will ever be a possibility. I don't think that Rodgers wants to be coached like that. I really don't. Some players want that coaching. Some players do not. And I don't think that Rodgers wants that coaching. By the way, how would Bill Belichick feel about the Tuesday word salad conversations with A.J. Hawk and with Pat McAfee? What would be his take on that? Because we know the Patriots way is to be very stoic and nothing to see here. How would that work for a Bill Belichick-led team? Bill O'Brien's been rehired by the Patriots now as their new offensive coordinator once again. So there's already going to be a system in place, and it's going to be Belichick, Bill O'Brien. This won't be an Aaron Rodgers, I'm coming in to tell you guys what to do. To me, that's where Rodgers would not fit. He couldn't go to a place at this point in his career where he would be challenged, where he would really be forced and pressed into a position. At least that's my take. We're starting to get a ton of votes on this thing. Go to our Twitter feed at the Sports Carney. Become a member of our Facebook group page. Getting up there, 327 members right now, and take part in this morning's poll question. As mentioned, Mike Schmidt, Northern State Wolves head coach, joins the program at 8:30. And if you want to comment, hit us up on YouTube, on Facebook, and on Twitch. We're back here on the Sports Carnival, broadcasting live from the Trauma Center studios. What can I say? The Recovery Room on 7th and Mississippi Street is not only my favorite bar in all of downtown La Crosse, Wisconsin, it's my favorite restaurant in all of downtown La Crosse, Wisconsin. Breakfast served 8 to noon, Saturday and Sundays, daily specials, incredible cocktails, and the best damn wait staff in the entire city. My buddy Matt knows how to treat you right, and that's why when you go to the Recovery Room on 7th and Mississippi, you're always going to have a great time and a great meal with a great cocktail. So if you haven't been in a while, or perhaps you're just regular and you want to stop in again, make it a thing. I'm there every single week. How about you?
Do you have a wedding, anniversary party, or bat mitzvah coming up in your life? Then you need Hey Duda DJ services featuring Neil Duda, the Midwest Eminem.
No doubt about it, I'm been hammered, and that's every day. Brand so cloudy, dog.
Dropping sick beats while you enjoy your treats. No party is too big or too small. Quinceañeras, graduations, ice cream socials, or cockhold parties. Whatever the celebration, Hey Duda is rocking the foundation.
Here we go again. Back with all our friends. Here comes the pain.
Neil Duda.
Broadcasting live from the Trauma Center studios, this is the Sports Carnival, brought to you by Fat Guys. Trust them with your wife or girlfriend. Just don't trust them with your lunch. Now here's your host, Dave Carney.
I don't know about that, man. I've seen some big guys with some major pull ability. You know, it's really all about personality. If you've got big personality, I don't think women in general really give a shit. I really don't. And this has been evidenced by every single person I've seen out here in lacrosse and Wisconsin in general, who is just like out kicking his coverage by about 600 fucking miles. Chad, when I moved out here, this is a real thing. I looked around and I said, what has happened? Because there are beautiful, I mean, absolutely categorically beautiful women with guys that look like they probably played the sketch version of Shrek, right? Like when DreamWorks was sketching out what Shrek would look like, they went to Wisconsin, took a look around, bunch of farms, and said, that guy, we're going to make this a composite. And yet he's actually dating this composite, Cameron Diaz, in real life, who was the voice of one of the characters in Shrek. It's interesting how that happens. So in most cases, I say that you're probably onto something. Not so much out here, which, Chad, brings me to another question. If, in fact, in the next 20 years, you're looking for a place to go differently than where you're at now, do you have any ideas? Are you looking for like snowbird season? Are you wanting to go warm weather climate? Or would you consider a move to Wisconsin, which I think temperature-wise will be a lot more like Tennessee in about 20 years?
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't thought that far ahead.
Well, damn it, get on that.
Jeffrey's checking in saying that Rodgers' best case scenario is maybe to go to the View. I like that.
I like that too.
I think that maybe they trade for Whoopi Goldberg. So Green Bay gets Whoopi Goldberg. The View gets Aaron Rodgers. That might work.
Okay.
That might work.
What's her cap hit, though?
She could block.
Well, definitely. We've seen that. But what's her cap hit? Because if it's less than 60, I'm probably going to just cut her. She is 70-some years old. So I don't know exactly how much more she's got in the tank. I mean, good talk show host, I guess. I've never seen The View, but I understand it is a program. It's on network television, correct? It's not a streaming service? I
believe it's still on network television in the day at some point. I honestly don't know either. I don't know who's on there other than Whoopi Goldberg.
Right.
Oh, Joy Behar, I think, is the only other person I can name on that show. I think Barbara Walters is no longer on the show. Well, she still might be, but I believe she's dead. So I was
going to say, you said it right. Isn't Barbara Walters dead now?
She passed away, so I don't think she's still on the show, but I don't know. There may be still a viewing.
Chad, this is the thing about daytime television. I don't turn on my TV unless it's like sports until the evening, right? Like that's just something that I do. And I've never really liked watching daytime TV. Daytime TV makes me feel slightly suicidal. I know it's my own personal take.
Yeah.
Idea of wilting away in the daytime while watching some of these programs, which are in 1 hour, I would say 37 minutes of commercials. I just don't know. There's something about it viscerally that makes me feel sad. And plus, you see all the commercials for these fake colleges that want to get you to buy in for a computer programming degree or some sort of Google certification, which, by the way, isn't a thing. You can just do that on your own. And it makes me feel like, I'm being swindled for my time and trying to be swindled for my money. So if anybody knows where The View is, let us know, because I'm sure it is in ABC, NBC type production. Rob Dog was picking up what we were putting down and said, are we sure that Rodgers and his ego would end well with the 70 million year old hoodie in New England? That's, Rob, a very good and a very valid question. I think, Chad and I are talking about this morning's poll question, and it is this. Based upon the odds, which are right now all over the place, betus.com. I got this from Sports Track last night. The Jets are even money. Titans plus 300. Patriots plus 700. Colts and Drunk Jim Irsay plus 900. Which would be the best fit for Rodgers if, in fact, the Packers did trade him? The Jets right now are cruising with 63.6% of the votes here on Twitter, and I think there's a lot of reasons for that. I just don't see Rodgers going to a team with a super established head coach. And the other thing is this. If you're Aaron Rodgers, you go to New England. What happens if you don't have anywhere close to the success that Tom Brady had? You're already chasing this guy's shadow, and you'll never be able to get out of it, right? Because this is a same quarterback, same generation, same era. That's something I just don't know that he could do. Ego-wise, I just don't know how he could do it.
Yeah, that's tough. But again, as far as ego goes, what about the Jets thing and the comparison with Favre? He's not going to like that either.
Well,
so you've got that as well. And I just read an article last night about Indy, and possibly they're going to want 2 first-round picks or something like that, or all of these different concessions that they're willing to make, and that Aaron Rodgers supposedly now is willing to restructure his contract because he understands the situation the Packers are in. More than likely, he's going to end up back with the Packers. But it's fun to speculate on where he could land. But if you're looking at it from an ego point of view, to me, I think his one goal, no matter what team he's with, should be to win another championship to solidify his legacy. Because if he gets another Super Bowl, then there's not really any more arguments about if he's a top 10 guy anymore. You know what I mean? I mean, one more championship to me, pretty much with 4 MVPs and all of his records and all those kinds of things, especially if he does it with another team.
Yes.
Maybe it's better if he does it with the Packers, obviously, if you're a Packer fan. But I think that's what you should be looking at if you're Aaron Rodgers. You know, forget about the money. You're going to be able to make money your whole life with that name. I mean, he's built a name up for himself. He has the personality. You know, he's going to get a TV gig. He's going to be able to pretty much write his own check kind of thing. So it really should be about, if he thinks this way, which after his ayahuasca trip, maybe he doesn't. What about my legacy? How can I improve my legacy? Here's how you do it. Win another Super Bowl.
Yeah, that's been the same thing we have been wishing for wistfully here in Wisconsin for the last 13 years, right? Just win another championship. This is getting to the point, though, of ridiculousness, because at a certain point, you are what you are, right? Like at a certain point, that is what you are. I don't see any possibility, and this is just me right now, I don't see any possibility he leads another team to a Super Bowl. I really don't. I think that when you look at what Aaron Rodgers did in 2010, this guy was an up-and-coming player. Yes, he was established. He was very good. And some people may have called him great at that time. But we have to remember, that was only his, third, fourth season playing as a starter. If that, right? It was, 2010, 2011. Yeah. That was his third, fourth season playing as a starter. This was still a guy that, from all reports, was still coachable by Mike McCarthy, still coachable by the Packers staff. I don't know that Rodgers is highly coachable any longer, because Aaron Rodgers thinks that Aaron Rodgers is the greatest thing to happen to everybody, including Aaron Rodgers. And when you have that mindset, when you have that mentality, I think it's really hard, especially in football, to put that full team production in front of you, because it feels to me, and this is just my take, and I know that some of you are on completely opposite sides here as Packer fans, but my take is this: Aaron Rodgers' legacy is about being the highest paid quarterback of all time. Sometimes you just know you're never catching up with somebody else in championships. You're never catching up with somebody else in accolades. So the best thing you can do is get the bag over and over and over again. That feels like what Aaron Rodgers is about. Now, there's another guy in another sport that only has one championship, but wanted 85 of them and would continue to play today if he could. Kevin Garnett. Kevin Garnett was one of those players that would have stayed with a Midwestern team, the Minnesota Timberwolves, had they been able to reach the mountaintop and even get to an NBA championship. But because he couldn't do that, and he so desperately wanted a championship, he goes to Boston, thanks to Danny Ainge, and spurs one of the great 3-year runs of Celtics basketball in the last 25, 30 years. And they may be catching up to that now. My point being, Kevin Garnett wanted nothing more than to win a championship and was willing to sacrifice his position, his role on the team in order to facilitate that. I just don't know that Rodgers can do that. And here's Jeff Zelke saying something about New England. He can't wear number 12. He's already Brady's bitch. He wouldn't reinforce that. And thank you, Jeff, because that's largely what I was thinking too. There would be too many different narratives working against Rodgers. I don't know if he has the temerity to really go through a season like that.
Yeah, and Rob Dog saying that Whoopi Goldberg would only be an $8 million contract, which is a good point. So that's a good deal.
Yeah,
I think that's great.
Awesome.
Yeah, I mean, it's fun to speculate, and who knows how this is all going to end up. And I think that if I had to lay my money, my guess is he's going to end up back with the Packers.
Me too.
And because a lot of this talk initially, you know how this goes, and a lot of it's just to make newspapers. Oh, I don't know if are there newspapers?
No, but shows like this.
It was to make newspapers, still sell newspapers. I don't know if they do that anymore. So, I mean, really, that's, I think, what a lot of this is, just a lot of speculation, a lot of writers with downtime, and they need something to write about. And it's fun to write about. It's fun to talk about. Where would we like to see him play? I would like to see him back with the Packers. I think that's going to be his best bet moving forward, because you never know. You go to another team and it may look good from the outside till you get there. You don't, I do think it's interesting, the Robert Saleh, the way he coaches that defense. That's intriguing, But again, I go back to the comparison with Favre. Great point on the Patriots. I didn't even think about the number 12. Obviously, he can't do that. That's not going to happen. I didn't even think about that. The fact that he wouldn't be able to wear his own number in New England, obviously, that ain't going to work for him.
No.
There would have to be a concession made, and that concession wouldn't be made. Actually, for purgatory reasons, Indy would find hilarious that he would have to go and deal with drunk Jim Irsay. That's hilarious.
Well, and Indy feels like this has started to really this has started to work on me a bit here, because we were talking about this. I believe it was with Joe DeGuano, our Green and Gold insider. If it wasn't this Monday, last Monday, about the idea, the prospects of having Aaron Rodgers in Indianapolis. Listen, there are a few things going for the Colts, right? They would have the recent success of taking in another aged quarterback that could actually, do something still. There's still a little bit. He would have an opportunity to play inside in a weak division. And if, in fact, Jeff Saturday is hired as his coach, he would be able to push Jeff Saturday around, right? He would be able to dictate to Jeff Saturday what it is and what it isn't they were going to do. So for a number of reasons, Indianapolis makes some sense. But if you did miss Aaron on the Pat McAfee and Silent J show yesterday, this word salad that he sort of threw up there is why we're talking about it. So for those that are maybe just joining the program here, and hello to Jen Bank, good to see your name pop up. Aaron said, and this is an excerpt of his entire quote, when asked if there was a possibility of a trade from Green Bay, he said that he would hope there's some gratitude on both sides if that happens. He says, I've got no hard feelings against Green Bay. Aaron goes on to say, but again, that doesn't open the door for any conjecture. Honestly, on my side, I'm not saying that to be cryptic. Yes, you fucking are. And I'm not going to figure out what to do, I should say. And then we'll see where all of the parties and what kind of transpires after that. This is the definition of saying nothing. This is somebody that is using words to say absolutely nothing. There is nothing here.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense.
For Packer fans, and in particular, Jeff Schneider Tax and Accounting, this is what's very, very difficult to wrap your mind around. What exactly is Rodgers saying? Now, last week when we talked about this, oh boy, our Twitter feed, our Facebook page was going crazy. People are just, telling us that we're misreading the situation. It's completely clickbait. Who is giving us this clickbait? This fucking showed right here. Aaron Rodgers, you see him on his screen. Look at that asshole face. I mean, that's the face of a real asshole. And this asshole is really trying to just toy with not just the Packer fans, but with the Packers in general, because he knows that he's got this leverage. When they signed that contract with them, basically Aaron determines what he wants to do. If he tells the Packers, I'm going to play for you, they're going to play him, and he's going to be their quarterback. If they say, hey, we want to trade you, he doesn't have a no trade clause, guys and gals, but what he can say is, I'm not going to play there. I'm going to retire. And then that team can't do anything about that. Not a goddamn thing about that. So this is Aaron in full douchebag mode, being Aaron, the one to dictate to the Packers and really to all the NFL teams what it is that he wants to do. I really go back to what you said earlier. The fact is, the best place for Rodgers is the Packers. He's got the home. He's got the money. He's got some familiarity now with these receivers. We know how long it takes him to trust guys. Well, you can't expect him to go to another team and have that trust, right? He needs 8 to 10, 12 years before he can really trust somebody. Like Randall Cobb hasn't been good since 2014. That's the last time he played a full season. That's a decade ago. Okay, but this is somebody that he wants to advocate for bringing back. Cool. This isn't, like, to me, a workable situation with many other teams other than the Packers. If the Jets got him, cool. You're going to make all sorts of concessions. Is he going to be exactly Brett Favre, play 8 really good games, then get hurt, and then the Jets miss the playoffs? Like, what's the future here for him with another team? It just feels like this is Aaron being a complete asshole and trying to wrangle the Packers into doing something else. I don't know. Keep his friends, maybe keep Bobby Tunyon. That's fine. Mercedes Lewis, sure, as a blocking tight end, sign him for $1 million, whatever. But this feels like a ploy. That's all it feels like to me.
Well, as I said, and I read this, I can't remember where I read it, but I read it somewhere about him possibly restructuring his contract. If he did that, let's say that he does that and he's willing to restructure his contract, thinking of the team first, that's going to go a long way, not only with his teammates in the organization, but that's going to go a tremendous long way with the fans.
Yes.
And then you're reminiscent of a la Tom Brady, right? Being willing to take less, thinking of the team. I want to win. That's what that's going to show to everybody. So if those rumors are true where I read that, if he actually is talking about that and willing to do that, and then it happens and he stays with the Packers, I think there's potential there. We saw this towards the end of the season with their run game, with their defense, obviously with the young wide receivers and Aaron clicking with them, obviously, healing up that thumb. He'll be in better shape. That's, to me, his best bet if he wants to win. If he really wants to win and win now, maybe restructure your contract, stay with the team, and see what happens.
That's the truth. What you just said is the truth. That's the best case scenario. And you're right. What we saw from the Packers at the end of the season, I think as Packer fans, we all enjoyed the potential that we saw from Christian Watson, Romeo Doubs. Look, the Packers haven't done a terrible job surrounding him with players. And who knows, maybe if Rashawn Gary doesn't go down, defensive player that had a real splash impact and was starting to really show people why he was a top 15 draft pick just a few years ago. Maybe if he doesn't go out, the defense is a little bit better against teams like Detroit, right? Like maybe there's something there and the Packers do get into the postseason. But I agree. If you look at the way the Packers ended, and especially the way that Christian Watson and Doubs performed for Aaron Rodgers, Aaron Jones continues to be a dynamic playmaker, and A.J. Dillon is a really good third down power back, right? He really is, and he's got some other skill. The team isn't that far off, but this is where it comes to me, like to be the intangible, that gray matter between the ears. Because say what you want, and we can make as many porn references as we possibly can fit into a show. Football's a game of inches. And if you're an inch off, or you're not taking the extra yard and you're not running for that first down like he didn't do against Tampa Bay in the NFC Championship game a couple of years ago, or even against the Lions in Week 18, that can be the determining factor. And that's where I still question where Rodgers is at motivationally now, right? We've never had to question, even though LeBron James is not my favorite player. Last night, this guy in a losing effort scored 48 points, and he's 38 years old, or 46 points, excuse me. By the way, the Nuggets are also on a real tear, and they're playing the Bucks tonight. I want to talk about that a bit later, but LeBron's old. You can tell his motivation is still extremely high to win. He just doesn't have a good supporting cast, right? Like there is nobody around him. But I don't question LeBron James's motivation to win a championship. Like he talked about another statistical milestone he reached last night, and he says, it's been hard since we've won that championship. I've been reaching milestones and losing efforts, and I don't like to celebrate those because they're losing efforts. Conversely, Rodgers made a real point on Pat McAfee's show a couple of weeks ago, Chad, to talk about himself as an MVP candidate. Like LeBron James knows he's not winning any more fucking MVPs. He just wants to win another championship. So I think that if Rodgers really does have that in his gray matter, those, spaces between his ears, listen, all things are possible. But this is where, again, I just don't know if he still has that overriding motivation, or if his motivation is just to put up more numbers, man, because that may be where he thinks that his legacy will be anyways. Remembered as a great statistical, divisional, regular season quarterback who made the most money of any quarterback in the NFL.
Yeah, and that's so ridiculous if that's his goal. I mean, in my opinion, and you're talking about those milestones with LeBron James. Correct me if I'm wrong. First player to score 40 points against all 30 teams. Correct?
Yes, that was his mark last.
That's impressive. That and when you really think about that, and all the players that have ever played, obviously there always hasn't been 30 teams. But to accomplish that's pretty remarkable.
Yeah, it really kind of is. And listen, not a fan of LeBron James's particularly, but what he does is incredible. And I think that his driving motivation is still to win an NBA championship. If we saw that from Rodgers, I don't think any Packer fan would have a problem with him trying to flex a little control.
Effort. We want to see effort. That's what we want to see. All fans want to see effort, especially from their biggest stars. Again, restructure your contract, come back to the Packers, make it work. That's going to be your best bet for success. And I think that would solidify him not only as a great quarterback, but as a great Packer, one of the greatest Packers of all time. Right now, that's questionable, I think. Is he the greatest QB to ever play with the Packers?
No, not
Bart Starr. Anybody?
Skill wise, yes, but Bart Starr right now is still going to have to take that. He won too much. He won too much. All right, guys and gals, we're going to step aside, take a really quick pause. About 60 seconds from now, we're going back to the football well with Northern State Wolves head coach and our good buddy Mike Schmidt. Take this morning's poll question at the Sports Carney on Twitter, as well as our Facebook group page. According to the odds makers, which of the four teams that we've got up there, the Jets, the Colts, the Patriots, Or even, I was going to say, I mean, did the Jets, the Colts, the Patriots, even the Titans, which of those 4 teams do you think that Aaron Rodgers would fit best with if, in fact, the Packers and he decided to move on in a trade? Stick around. We're back in 60 seconds.
The official mortgage team of the Sports Carnival is the Midwest Mortgage Team of Land Home Financial, my good buddies Mike Garcia and Todd Vercruzzi. Listen, we all know the mortgage industry is in a bit of an upheaval right now, and that's why it's more important than ever to go to a couple of guys that you can trust, a local operation right here in La Crosse. That is the Midwest Mortgage Team. Again, Michael Garcia and Todd Vercruzzi of Land Home Financial. Don't make a mistake with your mortgage needs. Go to the official mortgage provider of the Sports Carnival, the Midwest Mortgage Team, Mike Garcia and Todd Vercruzzi.
Preferred Insurance is the official auto, home, business, flood, and life insurance agency of the Sports Carnival, serving folks in La Crosse and surrounding areas with licenses in Wisconsin, Minnesota, and Iowa. As an independent insurance agency, Preferred Insurance is free to find the very best insurance for you, your family, or your business needs. Call my friends at Preferred Insurance today and set up a free consultation. Remember, working with an independent agency means Preferred Insurance works for you, with you, to find the best solutions at the best prices.
Back to the Sports Carnival, broadcasting live from the Trauma Center studios. Today's liners are brought to you by last night's buzz. Now here's your host, Dave Carney.
Welcome back, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages. The Sports Carnival just continues to roll from the new Trauma Center studios, powered by the Recovery Room. Thanks to our good buddies Kyle Cable, One Trust Real Estate, Brian and Tony, Preferred Insurance, Mike and Todd at the Midwest Mortgage Team, and of course our attorney Sean O'Neill and our landscaper Joe Sampson. Thank you guys for helping us power this particular program. If you want to make some wagers, which I know we do, friendly wagering, betus.com. Enter promo code Carnival, get 125% free play deposit match. Chad, later on, before we head out, I'm going to tell you, I've got a bet for tonight in the NBA. I'm also going to preview at least a little bit my play of the week, which I'll be breaking out tomorrow at 5 o'clock on ESPN 105.5 with John Papadopoulos. Joining the Sports Carnival from Northern States, beautiful Dakota Bank Stadium, our good buddy, Mike Schmidt. Mike, top of the morning. Great to see you. How's the weather up there? It looks nice and sunny today.
We have some sun, which we don't usually get. That's been this is maybe the second time I've seen the sun this millennium. It feels like we have an unbelievable amount of snow out there. There were some forecasts that there are some models that they showed out here that next week at 40 below zero low. So I know it's coming for you guys too, but it's going to be cold out here, and I don't know, whatever. The weather is the weather. I've been through Midwest weathers. I've lived in the Midwest my whole life. This weather out here, and I'll have my parents come out or people come out and they'll be like, "Oh, it's pretty bad in Wisconsin too." I'm like, I get that. I know the Wisconsin winter. This is something different. It's just is out here. It's just different. So we got the wind going and we're cold, but we're bundled up. It's vest season, Dave. I got my nice vest on here. So vest season in full effect for the big guys.
You're looking great, Mike, and I just love the swag. I've got a lot of a few pieces anyways of the Northern States swag here, and it's great. You're a Nike team. So by the way, if you're watching us, you can buy the official gear of the NSU Wolves. Just go onto their website, nsuwolves.com, and you can see some of the great gear. Mike, we've got a rumor floating around right now, and this is actually having to do with you. I want to see if you'll answer this question. South Dakota State's head football coach is recently retired after, I want to say, 26 years. The Jackrabbits play in Division I. There is now becoming a rumor that you are a possible head coach replacement for South Dakota State. Confirm or deny that you're in talks, or at least being talked about as the new potential head coach of South Dakota State?
Oh, Dave. I mean, there's talks out there from the New York Jets to through all of this. I'm always being talked about for sure. It would be very awkward because they've already named a head coach. So they named the defense coordinator who was on staff, Jimmy Rodgers, who's a fantastic football coach and has done a great job. it would just be really awkward. And so, I'm trying to stay kind of away from that and some of the rumors. And I really want to do something and see if anybody would understand it and be like, oh, well, people can say whatever they want and they can have whatever feelings they want about stuff like Aaron Rodgers did yesterday. But we're not, you are actually specifically talking about rumors.
Yes.
What is being brought to Aaron Rodgers is addressing reports. Those are called reports, but we can, go on the friendly interview and say, these are rumors or these are what? No, those are called reports. They're not called rumors. They're called reports for what they are, and not rumors. What you're saying are rumors, and
totally
those
made up by myself.
Totally made up rumors, and not reports.
Yeah. Big difference there, Chad. Rumors and reports. I mean, rumor had it, we were going to see this guy, Jeremy P1 Foreman, come to a number of different events we've had. Never happened. That's why Jeremy Foreman's new nickname. And by the way, you'll love this because, Mike, you've got some family that lives around West Salem, Rockland area. His new nickname is the Rumor. So just throwing that out there. Let's go right to the heart of the Aaron Rodgers word salad that he threw up there yesterday on the Pat McAfee show. Mike, I don't know that we need to rehash the entire conversation. It's really not worth that. But what I'm curious about is this. Is Rodgers, with his lack of overall intent in answering a question directly, is he trying to exert leverage right now against the Green Bay Packers to put them in a position like he did a couple of years ago where he had his list of players that he would like to see, grievances that he would like to air, and fashion choices he would like to correct? Or is he just basically trying to become clickbait for us? Because that's the other thing I'm hearing. He's either leveraging a position or he's trying to become a clickbait guy. Where are you with this?
I think he's still within the time warp or the warp zone of being he thinks he's playing us, but he's actually the one that's being played on this thing. Like Joe Rogan's like setting them all up for something here at some point. But all I could think about was listening to that, which was really tough to make it through. Like the whole thing of it is tough to make it through. Like just in its entirety is hard to just listen all the way through it. I could only think of the Billy Madison response after he answers the question in the Trivia Bowl. And the guy says, for having listened to what you just said. And may Lord have mercy on your soul. I mean, that was in a simple no would have been fine, sure. And I would say direct that there, like a simple no would have been fine. But whatever that was tough to go through. We brought up COVID grievances. Like, man, like one thing that I took away from it was how out of touch that seems. Like, I feel like when we have Wisconsin kids that we recruit, their parents and them are out here, they're Packer fans. You talk to a lot of different people, and I don't get any sense that Packer fans or fans of the NFL or football fans in general have any sort of grievance on that part at all. Maybe even didn't at all at the time, and maybe do now. But like, it feels like he's addressing like 45-year-old moms who might be upset about something. Like they're not football fans. Like he's addressing in a lot of those things people who aren't football fans. Football fans only care about football. They only care about winning. They want to watch people who care and want to watch people who want to give their absolute best. So football fans don't care about any of that stuff. I just felt like he was addressing some moms who he maybe had heard grievances from or something. I don't know what his tangents were on being this offended woke culture. I'm like, offended woke, what are we talking about here? People just want you to pick a place where you're going to play and hope that you want to win some Super Bowls for the Packers, who are, I think one thing that they went on in the grievances there was talking about that people picked apart his words about only wanting to be MVPs. But right before that, he had talked about winning championships. And if you're not trying to win it all, then you're not trying to do it. First of all, there's maybe one or two teams in the NFL who are legit not trying to win it all every single year. There are maybe one or two teams because of cap and draft situations that are maybe not trying to win it all. The Bears last year were not trying to win it all last year. The Texans weren't all in on trying to win it all. But outside of that, I mean, how many teams are not trying to win it all? We thought any of the four teams in the AFC West could have won the Super Bowl coming into the year. In one division, 4 teams. The Lions clearly were trying to win it all last year. Like there's not an organization not trying to win it all. And the Green Bay Packers for the past 30 years have been an organization for 30 years trying to win it all. That is like, of course they're trying to win it all. I don't understand this. I want to be a part of a building or rebuilding, or now we're trying to get into some of that. Like the point was that, well, I don't want to be a part of rebuild. I want to be a place where you can win it all. Well, you're in Green Bay. They're always trying to win it all. Then you went on to the MVP thing. So like that point was not really, that didn't land, I think, with a lot of people. So is he trying to get leverage? Whatever that was yesterday, I don't really know what it was. That was a lot of, there was a lot of substances involved in whatever that was. A lot of time on the internet and a lot of whale watching or whatever that was. But it was tough to make it through.
Yeah, Rob Dog from Stoddard was checking in with us earlier, and Rob Dog said, why does Aaron Charles Rodgers look like he was higher than Snoop Dogg in this picture? And we had a little graphic up earlier, and who knows, maybe he is. It's not the season right now. He could be chiefing it up. And listen, that's fine. The reason that Rodgers has to continue to go back to this, well, you're misunderstanding me, is because he puts himself in a position to be misunderstood. And say what you will about guys like Tom Brady, say what you will about guys that are, Peyton Manning. They basically gave you what they had. Maybe it was considered coach speak, but you sort of knew what they were going to do. Now, to Tom Brady's credit or discredit, if you don't like Tom Brady, recently on his podcast, he said, if I fucking knew what I wanted to do, I'd fucking tell you. I mean, like, those are his exact words. All right, I can sit a little bit better with that. I mean, just give me something a little bit straighter. Rodgers tries to be so smart, and that's cool because I like smart people. I don't suffer fools easily. So I'm okay with that, but there feels like there's a point in which it's disingenuous. Now, to that end, if in fact he does get traded, Mike, I got to wrap you into this morning's poll question. Which of the 4 teams, according to odds makers, that have the highest chances of landing Rodgers, do you think he would actually fit best with? The Jets are at even money. Titans are plus 300. Patriots are plus 700. Colts are plus 900. Who do you think of those 4 teams he would fit best with if in fact he were to be moved?
Well, I think you look at the Jets, that's what every report is that's out there, that they would move, heaven and earth to go get him and take the salary cap, because they got a young team that has a lot of good players. They don't have a huge burden that's on that they have this little small window that they could go out and win right now. I think there was a lot of stuff generated, a lot of excitement generated in New York with the fan base and people coming back to the games and buying tickets and that driving revenue there. So I think, it's like, hey, now we can we're a piece away from making that happen. I think that within that coaching circle with Robert Saleh, that there has to be, I think he's very well respected. And I think that that's one of those things where he would love to go into that kind of situation. So you have an owner that appears to want to do that. You have the capital that would probably be able to do that. And it looks like they have these unique small windows where you can bring in and just plug the salary cap, because you have enough pieces that are young pieces on a lot of smaller contracts, a lot of rookie contracts that are still there. And really the Jets were interesting to me because in Aaron's really soliloquy of going off yesterday, he talks about the Jets a lot. He talks about Zach Wilson a lot, but then he all of a sudden doesn't know some of the players' names who are on the roster there. Uh-huh. And well, I think they brought in this tight end or something last year, and McAfee and Hawk are kind of like filling in the names for him. And it's like, wait, now, you can't be claimed to be the knower of all things, and then all of a sudden you just don't know who some of these guys are. So for me, I think just looking at some of the stuff, it's that part to me that thought that there's actually some real interest, where I think he's trying to evade that, but then is like, well, I think that there might be a tight end and they got a couple. I don't remember that one guy's name. You're like, come on now, and I think that was a lot of the stuff with Denver a couple of years ago was, well, they've been doing some good things over there in Denver. And, that was certainly going to be the landing spot for him there. So I think reading some of that stuff, I thought that was kind of an interesting take, that all of a sudden the knower of all things, who apparently is well-versed in virology and epidemiology and salary caps and team building and everything across the board, the knower of all things, all of a sudden doesn't know some of these guys who they've practiced against the last couple of years, who they've seen in person, who they've gone and played. I have a hard time believing that. And that felt kind of one of those things where, read between the lines, I think there's something there.
I'll call it out. This is bullshit, because Rodgers and everybody that plays against a team in a year knows exactly who they're playing against. That's just the way it is. You're looking at that. You're scouting that. You were talking about it for a week, if not 2 weeks before. The thing about Rodgers is this: he is so coy, but he thinks he's so smart. And this is why we have to hold him accountable for this, guys and gals, because if we're in one breath going to say just what an intelligent, high-functioning, high-level quarterback he is, then we have to also apply that to this shit. Because if we're going to give it to him in every other way, we have to apply it to him in this way. And that's why when he walks back these phrases and words, it just doesn't land on me. Maybe somebody like Jeff Schneider Tax and Accounting, maybe he really believes Rodgers as he goes back and forth. I personally don't. All right, let's wrap up shop with this, because we had an interesting poll question the other morning, Mike, and I was curious to get your take on it. The 4 teams that are left right now, AFC, NFC Championship game, will determine who goes to the Super Bowl this upcoming weekend. We've got the Bengals, Chiefs. That's going to be a barn burner. And then we've got the Eagles and the 49ers. Which 2 teams, though, Mike, do you think would make the most interesting or best Super Bowl matchup?
Well, I think this is who's going to win, and this is who I want to see win for these purposes. Is I think you have to want to see Patrick Mahomes against the 49ers and what they have there. I get the Brock Purdy thing, and that's not a great storyline, and we sure would love to see Jalen Hurts and the 2 MVPs really in Hurts and Mahomes and watch them kind of go at it. I think would be a lot of fun. Joe Burrow's a great storyline, but I in the football world, I think we're all just like salivating over what we get to watch here on Sunday when we watch the 49ers and Eagles. That is going to be car crashes and physical football and the way it's supposed to be watched. I think you watched that with the Cowboys 49ers last week. It's just athletes all over the field. I mean, you can see the difference in the level of play, the speed that's on those defenses and running around and the physicality of San Francisco's offense. And then I think you watch, the other side of it is going to be so much fun to watch with Mahomes. Hopefully, I'm not buying into this. He's hurt and he's not going to play well thing. I think that Mahomes is, I think Mina Kimes hit on it yesterday. And I've felt this for a while that we're like, it's the Aaron Rodgers, LeBron James kind of treatment. Like it's just so good that we've just started to be like, it's getting boring because it's so good. And look at this shiny toy over here in Joe Burrow that we kind of forget about Patrick Mahomes. So I would sure love to watch Mahomes go against that defense that San Francisco has and watch Kyle Shanahan go against the defense there. I would love to watch Kyle Shanahan against both of those defenses and the Bengals, who have a great defense and a great defensive coach there, and watch him go against the Chiefs. So I would like both those things, but I think we all I certainly want a San Francisco and Kansas City matchup in the Super Bowl. I think that's the most fun. I think those have been the 2 teams trending in that direction for the past 10 or 12 weeks after San Francisco got off to that slower start. But they're clearly the best coach team in the NFL, and that you're going to get probably the best quarterback in the NFL and Patrick Mahomes. I think that's the matchup that I want to see.
And Chad, as a 49er fan, I'm sure that would be something for you as well to really want to see, because that would give the 49ers an opportunity to avenge the loss in the Super Bowl just a couple of years ago to Kansas City, right? Because that was a Jimmy Garoppolo missed throw away from being San Francisco's Super Bowl, right? If Jimmy Garoppolo doesn't overthrow, I want to say it was Deebo Samuel. I can't remember who he was throwing to on the outside.
He threw it like Janine Garoppolo. That was the problem.
Yeah, he did. It didn't land there. If that doesn't happen, the 49ers got another ring. Mike, it's great, and I mean this sincerely. It is great to have you back on the program. Mike Barrow wanted to say hi, your brother-in-law, Jimmy the Namath, a.k.a. Jimmy the Haggerty, a.k.a. now going back to First American Roofing and Siding as an operations manager, said this is a real Schmidt show, and that's why we love you, buddy, because you turned this thing into a real Schmidt show.
That's right. That's right. It's a Schmidt show. It's a Schmidt show. We have our house is the Schmidt hole. It is it's a bunch of Will Schmidt just flying around here. But I appreciate you. Love being back. We'll see you next week, everybody.
All right. See you next week. And we'll be back here in about 60 seconds on the Sports Carnival.
Now more than ever, if you're looking to buy or sell your first home or perhaps an investment property, you need a full-time dedicated real estate agent who is up to date on all the latest trends and analysis and is ready to give you the kind of service that you deserve. That's why the official real estate agent and the official real estate partner of the Sports Carnival is Kyle Cable of One Trust Real Estate. Whether you're looking to buy or sell your first home, or perhaps you are a seasoned investor, call the official real estate agent partner of the Sports Carnival, Kyle Cable of One Trust Real Estate.
At the Little Doobie's Pizza, we kill 2 stone birds with 1 rock every time with our hand-rolled Doobie Deluxe for only $49.95. That's a street value of over $75. No way! The Doobie Deluxe is a hand-rolled 18-inch pizza that will blow your bone-resined mind. Whoa! topped with a sausage, black olives, extra cheese, and about a half ounce of the finest kush at east side of San Bernardino.
Dude, give me another slice.
Because at Little Doobie's Pizza, we put a little TLC in our THC.
And right now, for a limited time only, get an order of crazy cannabis bread for only $10 with an order of a Doobie Deluxe at the street value of over $22.50.
You know what we said at the Little Doobie's Pizza? Why get stoned then eat when you can do both at the same time?
Doobies.
And back to the action live from the Trauma Center studios. This is the Sports Carnival. I think Einstein said it best when he said a theory isn't necessarily a fact, relatively speaking. I just made that up. Here's your host, Dave Kearney.
That's all right. I like it because Einstein now, as we know, appearing in Verizon commercials, not being played by Paul Giamatti at all.
No.
That's actually Albert Einstein. So good to know that you're still making quotes up for the guy who has been dead for, I don't know, a little bit longer than that chick from The View we talked about, Barbara Walters, right? Einstein been passed away for a little bit longer than that.
Smidge.
Just a smidge.
Yeah.
Mike Byers was checking in here, our favorite Texan in Wisconsin, saying, why didn't the NFL put one game on Saturday, the other on Sunday? Wouldn't they get a little bit more ancillary revenue that way? No, because here's what happens right now at this time of the year, Mike, it goes college basketball on Saturday. So the networks like College Basketball and Super Saturday College Basketball, they put together a lot of big matchups. And I don't know, I don't have them in front of me who's playing on Saturday, but generally the networks like to switch that around. Now, if there were going to be more games, if there were 4 or 5, 6 games, yes, they pick a Saturday out. But this basically gives the NFL a day to own, right? And it's crazy now because we've got Sunday football, Monday football, Thursday football, Saturday football. In some cases during COVID, we had Friday and Wednesday football. If the NFL could have games every day of the week, they would. They really would. But it just doesn't work out that way. I don't think it would have made much difference, Mike. I think the Sunday part will be just fine for him. But it is an interesting question. Matty Ice was asking this, or maybe he just checked in with us about Aaron Rodgers and said, I think the psychedelics have finally gotten the best of his gray matter, and the convoluted truth is what we get from Rodgers. Now, I don't think any of this has to do with drugs. I really don't. I'm not blaming ayahuasca for Aaron Rodgers and, the way that he goes about his business. Aaron Rodgers has been a tool for a lot longer than we've known he's taken ayahuasca for, right? Like, this guy has been kind of a chode for a long time. This is just becoming long in the tooth for us because it continues to be something we talk about. So that's my personal take, but who knows, Matty? I'm not a doctor. I've played one on TV 3 times, but in real life, I'm not. P12 Foreman, 49ers, Bengals. Listen, this is what I'm surprised about right now, the movement of the line, Chad. So going to betus.com, the official sports book partner of the Sports Carnival. And by the way, enter promo code Carnival, get 125% free play deposit money. Looking at this number shift around is really interesting. So the Bengals opened up as a small dog, okay? They were about, +1, +2 in different shops. Right now at BetUS, you've got the Bengals minus a point at minus 120. Kansas City plus a point at even money. Kansas City on the money line is now plus 105, and the total is sitting there at something that I thought was a bit low. And I'll go into this tomorrow on ESPN 105.5 with John Papadopoulos at 5 p.m. The total's sitting at 47 points. That's it. We have seen a lot of interesting games in the postseason. The Niners and Cowboys, that was a total of 31 points. We had 19-12, right? So we had 31 points there. I think that 47 is a really low number, but you're starting to see a lot of sharp bettors based upon this number pile in money on the Cincinnati Bengals to go ahead and win this football game. That is surprising to me because you're talking about Kansas City at home in Arrowhead, one of the toughest places to play versus a Bengals team who, if they do beat the Chiefs, though, Chad, it is going to have to be asked about or talked about as the best team in the AFC, because if they beat the Chiefs on Sunday, they will have beaten Patrick Mahomes and Kansas City 4 times in the last 13 months. That's impressive.
Well, and I think
that's
the reason why you're seeing that money go there. That, and obviously the health of Patrick Mahomes, and I kind of follow the line that Mike Schmidt was talking about. I don't think that's as big a deal as maybe they're portraying it as. You know what I mean? I think he'll be just fine, but that's definitely something you have to take in consideration, because we clearly saw after he did get injured, without the mobility, he's a different quarterback. That's what separates him, to be able to scramble and do all of those creative ways of, those, short little there's little drop pass, all the different baseball throws, all that kind of stuff has a lot to do. Obviously, it starts with your base, right? And if your legs aren't there, you're not going to be able to do the same. He wasn't even able to hand the ball off the same. He was struggling handing the ball off. So obviously, if Patrick Mahomes, Chad Henne, great guy, sure he's really nice. He's not going to win your football game for you. If Chad Henne's your quarterback, you're done. It's over with. I mean, I think with a healthy Patrick Mahomes, this is going to be a hell of a game, and I still give Cincinnati a shot at winning it with a fully healthy Patrick Mahomes. I think the Bengals are going to win. Personally, I think right now they're one of the hottest, if not the hottest team in the NFL. Joe Burrow is playing out of his mind, and the way that defense played and the way that they had that running game last week, if they can put that together again against the Chiefs, no matter where it's at, even if it is an Arrowhead, I think they have a really good shot of winning.
Well, me too. And the line is reflecting that again. Right now, go to betus.com and make your wager on the AFC and NFC Championship game, getting yourself prepped up for the Super Bowl because, listen, you can see the number move for specific reasons. Hi, Foreman.
That's a great one, Foreman.
It is.
I'm not a gynecologist, but I'll take a look. Yeah.
Getting us canceled since
That's
2016.
great.
You can just see the movement of the number here showing the confidence, right? The overall sharp confidence in Cincinnati as a team. And I agree. The effect of their defense, which is underrated in the second half of games during this season, in the second half of the season, they were lights out, giving up no touchdowns and scant points. The running game, Joe Mixon, this guy's a beast. I mean, he is a beast. That takes the air out of the football, meaning you don't need Joe Burrow to do what Tom Brady did and go back, throw 66 times, right? If you've got a good running game, you don't need that. But we do have to look at Cincinnati's wide receiver, Jamar Chase. I mean, they've got real weapons. Not that Kansas City doesn't, but Joe Burrow is the prototypical type quarterback. He's got some wheels, but he really is a pocket guy. Patrick Mahomes is a lot more like Steph Curry to me, right, in the NBA. He does things that we have never seen before, but he's not a traditional player, meaning if Steph Curry's ankle gets rolled, he's not the same player, right? Like Steph Curry on a rolled ankle can't go out and hoist the same 30-foot shots, can't roll around the perimeter to do the things that he does. Conversely, if Giannis rolls an ankle, he can back you down. He can take you to the post. He can still be a player for you, and he might not give you the same production, but he's going to still give you a lot of production. Guys like Patrick Mahomes rely upon those other things so much to make their game go that when you see an ankle injury, and I think the line is reflecting this, you can kind of pick up the confidence level waning from a Kansas City team who, listen, is well-constructed, well-coached by Andy Reid, but it does show you that ankle is really starting to make an impact, at least on the betting line. Before we get out of here this morning, I wanted to do this. I want to ask your opinion on a game that we've got coming up tonight, the Bucks and the Nuggets. So Denver last night wins by a point. Nikola Jokic had another triple-double on the season, Chad. I can't believe I'm saying this. Nikola Jokic is averaging 25 points, 63% field goal shooting, 82% from the line. He's averaging 11 rebounds and 9.9 assists per game.
Yeah.
In 33 minutes. Giannis is having a great season, 31-12. But good God, Denver is playing fantastic. They're 34-14 on the season. The Bucks are 30-17. Currently at BetUS, you can get the Nuggets plus 8 points. Now, I know that the Bucks are coming off a 20-point win against Detroit a couple of nights ago, 150-130, and Chris Middleton's return was great to see. I know the Nuggets are coming in off a back-to-back, and they went from Indianapolis last night. They'll be going to the Bucks home, the Fiserv Forum tonight. Chad, I've already made a play on the Nuggets plus 8 tonight. You know how big of a Bucks fan I am. I'm a huge Bucks fan.
No, I take the points. I agree.
8 points? Are you kidding me? And the Nuggets, I'm not trying to be this guy because I love my Bucks. The Nuggets seem to kind of own Milwaukee. Like Denver is able to do some really nice things. And by the way, for the Bucks, this is another thing to keep in mind. Bobby Portis is out for tonight's game. He's out. Chris Middleton's playing, but Bobby Portis out. Where do the Bucks go depth-wise to try to guard and keep up with Nikola Jokic? Michael Porter's maybe a day-to-day. I see that Joey Miller's checking in. Nuggets take the 8 points. Yeah, I mean, take the 8 points. That feels like a bit of a gift at this point, doesn't it?
Well, the thing with the NBA, though, how do we know who's going to play? We always have these when they rest these guys, are they going to rest anybody? So, I mean, that's the thing I struggle with.
On the injury report right now, I'm seeing Marshawn Beauchamp listed as day-to-day, and Bobby Portis is out, okay? For the Nuggets, Michael Porter Jr. is day-to-day, and Bones Highland, who is a really nice point guard, is listed as day-to-day. I think that by this point, we would sort of know Giannis is going to go, Middleton's going to go, Jokic is going to go. I like Denver plus the 8 points. And again, make your wagers legally, okay? This is completely 100% legal. Nobody's going to get you in trouble. At betus.com, enter promo code Carnival. Now, tomorrow we'll come back on the show. We'll get ourselves geared up one more time for the coming AFC, NFC Championship games. And then we'll start to preview my real play of the week, which I'll debut tomorrow on ESPN 105.5 with John Papadopoulos. To all those that checked in late, including Pat Tully, he's taking San Francisco KC matchup at plus 500. So you know it'll be Cincy Philly because it's taking a shot at his own betting acumen. Thanks for checking in, guys and gals. It's great to hear from you. Jen Bank, have a very fantastic hip-hop hump day. Chad, glad you're not having any snow out there. I've got to go take a bunch of trash out of my garage and garden shed and dump it into a big dumpster. So I'm going to have a fun day. You guys have a fun day. We'll talk to you bright and early tomorrow here on the Sports Carnival, powered by the Recovery Room in the Trauma Center Studios.